Dude, so I'm trying to beat all the PlayStation 2 games ever made. That's 4,218 games. How do I beat all of them? I'd actually like to know myself.
And the next game is Black, a game I've never actually played before.
Those words are blasphemy!
What's wrong with me never having played this before?
Do not blaspheme! Do not blaspheme! Do not blaspheme!
Okay, I'm playing it now, so don't worry. Upon booting up the game, we get our first unskippable cutscene, which lasts about 3 minutes. As the game begins, no less. That does not bode well for the rest of the unskippable cutscenes. Next, I mess around with the controls, and I'm again surprised at how much customization you have. You can choose any button to do anything you really want it to do, and that's really cool, and I'm super glad about that. Although the next thing I find is pretty disappointing. There is literally no options to change your sensitivity or anything with aiming, except for inverting the aim, which is, like I said, it's disappointing, man. I'd like to be able to have options. We are going to play the game on easy, as is customary for this channel, because I have to beat so many games. We begin with another unskippable cutscene that kind of sets the tone for the story. This guy that you're playing is explaining how things went down to another man, when I'm not really sure exactly what's happening, because I didn't pay too much attention. But this first level is a tutorial, and as you get into it, you learn a few things like how to shoot your gun, health kits, destructive pieces of the environment, which is pretty cool, and just the general movement of the character. Since I had no options to choose anything for aiming, I'm slowly getting used to it. Honestly, if I had options, I'd change things, because right now there are only 2 ways to aim, to change the sensitivity of your aiming, which is aiming down the sights or just using hipfire. Hipfire has a quicker aim because you're just hip firing, but then when you zoom down sights or whatever you do with whatever weapon you have, if you can, then it does slow down a bit so that you can have more fine tuning, but it just doesn't feel like the right speed for me, and maybe not even the right speed for the game in general, so it's difficult. Since we're playing on easy, the only thing we have to do is complete the primary objectives, and it tells you directly what you need to do, and the game is pretty linear. There aren't too many branching paths, so it's very straightforward, and the level's over quickly. Before the next level begins, we also get another unskippable cutscene, and then we started the level with a silenced pistol, so we get a couple new weapons to try, and honestly, all the guns are just really powerful, have large magazines, and sound ridiculously loud. Damn, look at how much destruction you can do. You can just shoot red things and they'll blow up. Looks like you can also just shoot random things as well and blow them apart, which is so freaking cool. This is cool. It's like Red Faction, but this looks more deliberate, right? Like Red Faction is all about just destroying anything and putting kind of holes in everything and tunneling your way through, but this game is very specific. Yeah, it's all the same. Every time you shoot a pillar, it's gonna break the same way, but they do it in such a way that it's fun. I wasn't sure what to do here at first, and I thought, man, I've got to be able to blow it up just like everything else, so I decided to throw my first grenade.
That was the worst throw ever. Of all time.
We make our way through some tunnels, over a bridge, until we reach a small village that we actually have to hold out in. After you kill everyone here, the mission is over. The next mission takes place, at first, in a big, huge cemetery, where you've got a sniper, and you've got a buddy to help you, and you've got lots of guys in small buildings around the cemetery. This is a pretty cool set piece. It reminds me a little bit of Call of Duty, although that would have come later. We make our way into a ruined town, where there's lots of rocket launcher dudes who are shooting rockets at you, and even on easy, the rocket launcher dudes are pretty tough. You've got to shoot them a lot, and they can shoot you with a rocket and deal a lot of damage from kind of an absurd distance away from both your character and the rocket hitting the ground. The impact from the rocket, that explosion, man, that hits you from so far away, around walls and everything. This next level starts us off with 2 new weapons yet again, a rifle that just isn't that great accuracy-wise, and a silenced pistol that actually is pretty accurate, and I used to headshot lots of dudes from far away. Eventually, we skip through a minefield, which does nothing to me because I'm so friggin' awesome, and then we get to a part where we're going through more of a city and kind of weaving in and out of different areas to slowly make our way through. And some of these set pieces are really nice because there's a lot of windows and destructible pieces, so you can just fire your gun wildly and it sounds like an action movie, which is pretty fucking cool. Next, we're in some much tighter indoor spaces with lots of levels, up and down, vertically at least, horizontally as well. There's honestly just lots of rooms and lots of guys and lots of things to destroy. Walls can be destroyed to go through and maybe get around people. Barriers can be destroyed to shoot them through it so you don't have to try and get around them. And there's one point where I die a few times because there are so many people and I just gotta watch out. And I'm stuck in this one area with very, very low health with a rocket launcher guy with just dudes everywhere. And I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make it out of here. But you know what? I do. The next level takes place on some docks where there's lots and lots of long range guys with some snipers, with some rocket launchers. Some of it takes place in little buildings along the docks as well as some boats. Although I don't go on the boats, they're on the boats. Eventually, I end up picking up a large mounted machine gun I can carry around with myself, and honestly, the enemies are starting to feel like bullet sponges, especially on easy. It's not necessarily that hard. I mean, I'm surrounded, so I suppose it's slightly difficult, and the rocket launcher guys can hit you from pretty far away. So I'm not really sure why on easy it's so spongy feeling. Like, it would have been better if everything was a little bit more visceral, quick. You know, you shoot a couple times, you kill them, they shoot you a couple times, they kill you. That would have felt better, but I mean, I guess it's okay for now. It's not terrible, but I would like it to move slightly quicker when I'm fighting enemies. Our next level takes place on an enormous bridge with some guys to help you, but they don't really do that much. Yeah, they do sometimes distract them, but honestly, at this point, here we see the bullet sponges, the guys with shotguns that have lots and lots of armor where you must hit them in the head to really kill them quick, or with a rocket, with a grenade, with the mines on the ground that you can shoot, or with a shotgun that takes a couple blasts. And even knocking them down once with a shotgun and then meleeing them will kill them, but you really don't want to get that close because the melee you have to be really close for, as well as if you fire your gun, you can't just melee immediately, not like the modern day shooters. It takes a second to melee, so sometimes you're in just complete danger the entire time. So these bullet sponge guys, I'm not liking them, and honestly, I'm starting to notice, like, on long range weapons, bloom, and I don't like bloom. You don't shoot directly forward, you shoot kind of in the area that you're shooting. Now, the first bullet can sometimes be accurate, but it doesn't feel like any of the bullets after that are accurate, even if you're tap firing, and that's really what I try and do is tap fire, and honestly, the aiming options and just the fact that there's bullet sponges doesn't feel great with shooting with bloom. The other issue I have on this bridge level is that there is a checkpoint very far in, and if you don't reach it, if you die, you have to start back from a much further distance. Like, you have to start back a while. And honestly, I thought there was a checkpoint, but nope, apparently you get to the end of the bridge here, and there's lots of guys standing in front of this door. If you die, you have to start back pretty far and go all the way across this section of the bridge yet again. And that is a pretty hefty price to pay for dying to a guy with a rocket launcher that you can barely see, as well as all the guys trying to come up on you with mines surrounding you, grenades being thrown at you. I mean, even on easy, it's just a lot of guys, a lot of bullet spongy guys, and guys in places that are kind of hard to see. Now, while the set pieces have been really nice and beautiful and cool to be able to destroy, they're pretty, monotone colors like grays and browns, and the enemies are kind of grays and browns, and it's not the most fun when you can't see enemies that well and you're surrounded. So, this level's okay. The next level is actually the last level, and I can't believe how quickly we've gotten through this game. I don't freaking understand, but I mean, it's a short, tight experience. It actually makes sense. It started to feel like it was getting kind of long, so this is a good send-off, I suppose, a good time to send off for at least easy mode. Now, this level is difficult. It's long, and it's not just long because it's made to be long. It's long because the very end of it is iffy. You start outside, and you're trying to get into this gulag, which from Call of Duty, everyone. Gulag. Anyway, you go through, and you fight lots and lots of guys in little areas, in courtyards. You move through, you break a lot of stuff, and the very last part of the level is just these waves of rocket launcher guys and machine gunners and these little bunkers and people throwing grenades at you and shotgunners that are bullet spongy, and there's just a lot going on and very little health, even for easy. Now, again, I don't think playing on easy should be the easiest thing in the whole friggin' world. You should have like some difficulty, right? Like it should be enough to make someone who wants to go, oh, I want to experience the story, but this felt really crazy for an easy difficulty. There was just a lot going on, and I really had to very slowly make my way through the waves of enemies, and I died a couple times because there's just not enough health, and you can't just come out of your hiding spot to get health that easily. You need to make sure you come out at the right time. Like I said, those rocket launcher guys they're like better than the snipers, honestly. They shoot a rocket and you're like, oh shit, where's it coming from? Is it gonna hit me? And then it just hits you and you're like, fuck, I have no health. Now, guys do drop little health packs that you can pick up because health is, held. You can hold 3 health kits, and that's great, but there aren't very many health kits. Once you use them all, you have to rely on the guys dropping, and once all the guys who are running towards you are dead, the only guys left are the ones who stay in the back, the machine gunners and the rocket launcher guys. So you have to go forward or peek out and slowly kill them, and you don't really know when it's done. At first, it's suddenly things start blowing up at the end of the room to signify that it's done, but you don't know. You just start firing, and I'm thinking, man, this level's been an hour long simply because I just can't get a grasp on like enough health. I can't find blind people. Again, the monotone colors don't really help, and it's just a lot of guys. Now, I do find this cool revolver type gun that I shoot, and it kills most guys in like one shot, so those bullet sponge guys are suddenly less scary, and I use it a lot, and it's super helpful, but I mean, it only gives you so much fucking ammo for that gun, man, so I gotta like really be careful. So the second or third time through, I'm really trying to zoom in and get the good shots, wait for them to stop moving, but again, the aiming rears its ugly fucking head, man. I don't have any options. I wish I did. So this is, again, the last level, and I can't believe how quickly we got to the end of this game. 3 hours and 58 minutes for this playthrough. And yes, there are other difficulties with other mission objectives, so they will make the missions longer, and it's absolutely worth going through again once I went through. Now that I know what I do, now that I know what I need to do, those other mission objectives make sense. You can unlock things. I think you can unlock weapons and stuff on the normal and hard difficulties. I think there's even a Black Ops difficulty. So there's a lot to do once you play through. There's no multiplayer, there's no online, nothing like that. It's a tight experience made for a console that, you know, on easy mode, it goes by pretty quick. And yeah, it can be frustrating a few times here and there, but honestly, it's not bad. But the two things I do have a problem with, the bullet sponge enemies and the aiming options, those would need to be fixed. If this was ever remastered or remade, I mean, all they have to do is give it more modern shooter quality of life stuff. That's it. Honestly, the set pieces are great, and if they just made the environments more randomly destructive, so instead of looking kind of the same each time you do it, they made it more random, maybe added several kinds of destructive properties, it would be fantastic. I mean, honestly, this game feels like you're playing a movie, an action movie, and it's fun. It's definitely fun. I do have problems with those two things, and it sucks, but this game is still a pretty good game. If I was gonna rate this, I'd definitely rate this above Killzone, because this feels like Killzone was going for something like this, but this game just knocked it out of the park with the sounds from the weapons, the destructive environments, the set pieces are, even though browns and grays, they're still cool. You see light streaming through windows and things blowing up, and there's lots of things to interact with, so it's really cool. Definitely above Killzone. However, the shooting, the best one I've done so far is Soldier of Fortune. I mean, yeah, I could use a mouse and keyboard, but the shooting in that game felt much better in general. But the game itself was pretty bland when you're playing through it. So this one definitely wins the ambiance and set piece and destructive and noise and all that stuff. That wins all those awards. And the guns really aren't terrible shooting. It's fine. You can manage it. But I do hope they remake this or remaster it one day and just add some quality of life stuff in there, because I would definitely play it. But this is game number 21 beaten, guys. That's right. We beat game 21 and we're moving on. And let's move on to the guessing game. Da, 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 da. Okay, guys, here's the picture for the next game. What game am I going to play next? And this is going to be a great one. I'm sure it's pretty obvious to some people, but hey, this is going to be a fun one. So don't forget, you can join our Discord, which is going to be down in the description if you'd like to join. I do sometimes take suggestions, although I really do have the first 100 games already set. Not necessarily in any order, just I already own them. I own like 130 games now, so I have 100. I have perfectly 100, which will last for quite some time. Don't worry, I'm only on game 21, so it's gonna be a little bit. But if you suggest a game that I own, I would probably play it next. I mean, there's not really a reason not to. And you guys have seen some of my games. I believe on my community posts, there's a picture of a bunch of game cases. So, you know, if you see one, or if I mention one, or, you know, took pictures of one or something, and you want to see that one first, you can mention it, but I've got all those games picked out. And if you didn't know, I'm doing this all on the original consoles with all the original games and peripherals, which is pretty cool. So thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate anyone who watches. I'll be back again pretty soon. The next game is already almost done, surprisingly. So I will see you guys soon. Later.
Just said you do.
What the fuck is going on here?
Lennox is not dead. He's very much alive. And thanks to the mess you created, we can hunt him down without Congress breathing down our necks.